Okay, Representative Chavez, what brings you out here today?
Well, of course, I'm standing in support and solidarity with the efforts that are going around today in the country, and that is rallies and marches in protest to the xenophobic laws passed by Arizona, creating racial profiling as an opportunity for police to harass Latinos.
What is your position about comprehensive immigration reform? I mean, that's kind of thrust this entire discussion into the national level. What do you think
absolutely. What we have feared the most in the legislature is that the states would do piecemeal kind of legislation because there is no federal immigration reform proposed or on the table. And so states are now running into their legislative bodies and passing bills like we just saw in Arizona. The session for Texas starts in January. We already know that some proposals that are similar, if not duplicating, are going to be introduced. And so we have to be playing defense, not only defense, but standing up as a community against these xenophobic laws.
And from a process standpoint, you being a very experienced legislator, in the state of Arizona, the legislation's already passed. They tried to introduce a trailer bill to fix some of the problems and actually made it worse. Now pushing the law to apply to civil offenses, not just criminal. What can be done, if anything, in terms of process at this point for the law in Arizona, or is it up to the courts at this point?
We're going to probably see more lawsuits filed. I suspect and I understand that the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund is also preparing civil rights organizations. But what we don't want is, again, the federal government has to step up to the plate. They have to deal with the issue, or we're going to continue to see states fall in line into laws just like this Arizona proposed law. It's unfortunate. I see it coming down in Texas, and I stand with my community in opposition.
Well, you understand the dynamics of the Texas legislature. What is the likelihood of a similar bill passing here in the state of Texas?
Unfortunately, we're in a year of redistricting, and we're also in a year of November, Texas being Texas. It's a Republican state. Senate, House, and Governor's Mansion is all controlled by Republicans. And unfortunately, in the last primary, some Republican Tea Party candidates, one took some positions of fairly moderate Republicans. So there is a great concern on what that's going to mean to the dynamic in January.
And a final question, what can be done by activists and concerned citizens in the El Paso community to do their part to stand in opposition to this?
Well, what we need to recognize as a community is that we have an opportunity, like when Proposition 187 passed in California, families with mixed families, with citizens, they started voting at record numbers, and that's when actually California elected its first Latino Speaker of the House. The power of the vote is critical, or you're going to continue to elect right-wing radical mentality that's going to continue to target our community.
We're here today.
Well, there's like more than 400 people today, and most of them come from communities, Hispanic communities, border residents, citizens, residents of El Paso. And the reason is because we're protesting Arizona. I mean, obviously, this shows the anger of our communities, the anger of our people towards that specifically.
What are your thoughts on that specific piece of legislation from Arizona?
Well, it is very clear for us that the framework of the law is racist and it's xenophobic. I mean, that was the intention of it. They wanted to do a law that actually would target people, that would question certain people only, that would arrest certain people. So obviously people that is brown, that is Mexican, that is Hispanic are the targets of this law. So that was a very intentional law. There wasn't
unintended consequence.
It wasn't circumstantial.
Right.
I mean, the very intention of the law was to target a sector of our community based on the race.
So let's talk about this location. Why did you choose right here, this location?
Well, it is very, what we have observed is that most of the aggressions, especially this law, but other aggressions, have come from within the Republican Party, at least one sector of the Republican Party. Most of the law in Arizona was approved by Republicans in session. The governor was a Republican. Nationally, Republicans do not want to take on comprehensive immigration reform. But worse, even worse, here in El Paso, there are voices let's say that they love the Arizona law and they would like to see something like that here in El Paso. And those voices are coming from Republican candidates.
One of the things that's happened, and an effect that has happened, is that now comprehensive immigration reform is a much more high-profile topic on the national sector. What does responsible comprehensive immigration reform look like to you?
Well, I mean, this just makes the issue more urgent. I mean, obviously, immigration reform has been there for a while. The need of immigration reform has been there for a while, but I think this makes it more urgent. But legalization, I mean, immigration reform has to actually come. It comes with several pieces. I mean, the first one is we need to legalize that every immigrant worker, immigrant family that is over in the United States that hasn't committed a crime, that would pay a fine, that would pay taxes, learn English, they need to have the chance to be legal and to be citizens of this country. So that's a major component. A second component is that we cannot have this same situation in 20 years from now because we're going to have more people undocumented in this country. We need to end that concept of illegality and bring all of our workers that we need legally into the country. Right now, we only grant 60,000 visas for low-skilled workers, but we need 200,000 workers. So the rest of them, we get them through the border in a regulated way. So I think it is important to fix this in the long term. And finally, we need responsible enforcement. Arizona is not responsible, it's profiling people, it's violating the Constitution. That is not the enforcement that we have. We don't want an enforcement that kills people at the border. We don't want enforcement that violates rights. So I think essentially there are some of the components that we expect from immigration.
And one of the biggest sticking points to that specific law is that many critics say it creates distrust between the immigrant community and law enforcement. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we have some examples like that in El Paso. Back then in 2005, our local sheriff back then, Mr. Samaniego, tried to implement something like this, and that didn't work because obviously the consequences of that is that people were afraid of calling the sheriff to report crimes or to report abuse. I mean, that created a big gap. The law alienated the sector of our community, so that is not beneficial for public safety and to fighting crime. So that is the consequence that this law is going to have in Arizona.
Okay.
That this is going to be in a massive scale because all local police departments or sheriff, by state mandate, they had to enforce that law.
And final question, are you surprised at the turnout today?
Well, no. I think we were expecting that. I mean, we were expecting that. A lot of people were so angry. I mean, people were so looking for a chance to express their feelings towards this Arizona law. I mean, it's also been an organized effort. I mean, many of these communities are coming from Southern New Mexico, West El Paso, Central Downtown, and they have organized this. They have been organizing for this for a while already. So I think people is just escalating now the protest. And I would like to say that this is not going to be the only one that we're going to do. And Monday we're going to be at the County Commissioners Court. We help to write part of the resolution. You know that is several resolutions that have been implemented that actually are going to condemn the law and are going to call for a boycott. And also on Cinco de Mayo, a group of volunteers are going to turn themselves in the county jail as part of the escalation of this protest.
And what are you expecting from the law enforcement here?
Well, we expect them to react, to say that they are not, that Texas is not Arizona, that this law is not beneficial for law enforcement. So they need to come up and say that. Either they say that or they need to arrest us. So at the end, that's going to be what we're doing.